If you've been feeling spiritually stuck, like you've been praying and seeking God, but you're not moving forward, then this might not be what you think. And in today's video, I want to break down why you actually feel stuck and how we can move forward with confidence and with momentum. All right. So feeling stuck is not about a lack of direction, but it's a lack of movement. James 1:22 tells us that we should be doers of the word and not hearers only. We should actually do the word that we receive. And Psalms 119:105 tells us that the word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. So we know that God is giving us direction step by step. He doesn't often give us a whole picture. The problem is that you're waiting to receive a full plan from God. You want to see the whole picture and the end of the matter when God already gave you this next step to take. So you don't need more direction. You need to actually move on what God already said. Ignoring previous instructions creates cycles. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 tells us that to everything there's a time and there's a season. So we know that it's God's desire for things to change and for us to move forward. He doesn't want us to stay in the same place, in the same situation all the time. So, whatever season that we're in, we want to be faithful in that season. Luke chapter 16, verse 10 tells us that when we're faithful in the little things, then we'll be faithful in much. And so, we want to be faithful with the instructions that God has given us in the season that we're in. So, delayed obedience equals repeated cycles, repeated seasons. Delayed obedience equals repeated cycles. God speaks to you, you delay, and you start feeling stuck. But you feel stuck not because God stopped you, but because you paused in the journey. You took a pause in a process. And it could be for many things. Maybe we're fearful to move forward. Maybe we're questioning what's going on. But these are the kind of things that cause us to feel stuck. Some cycles that we find ourselves in are not about spiritual warfare. It's not about Satan trying to attack us. It's literally about the fact that we have unfulfilled instructions that God has given us. So, how can we unlock growth and movement? So, discipline and consistency are two things that help us to unlock growth and movement. Hebrews 12:11 tells us that discipline produces fruit. It says, no discipline is enjoyable while it is happening, it's painful, but afterwards there will be a peaceful harvest of a right living for those who are trained in this way. Okay, so being disciplined and being consistent, it causes us to be fruitful, right? It causes us to be able to grow in our walk with the Lord. First Corinthians chapter 9 verse 24 says all athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize. And the point here is that discipline is what we need. We have to run with discipline. We have to run with consistency. We have to be able to be disciplined with the instructions that we have, with our walk with the Lord, and then we're able to see growth. Now, when we're ignoring instructions that God has given us, that's not being faithful, nor is it being disciplined. Spiritual growth is not built on moments, it's built on us being able to develop habits that constitute growth. Inconsistent time with God will equal inconsistent clarity. Inconsistent time with God will equal inconsistent clarity. Discipline keeps you aligned even when you don't feel it. And that's the thing. Sometimes in our Christian walk, we're wanting to actually feel something. We always want to feel things, and nothing's wrong with feeling the presence of God and feeling good. But the thing is, there are times in life where we actually don't feel it. In those times, we have to make sure that we're being consistent and we're disciplining ourselves and being consistent in the secret place, consistent with your time with the Lord. Growth doesn't come from occasional encounters, it comes from consistent pursuit. Consistent pursuit. And again, guys, sometimes we don't necessarily feel it, but we know it's what we should be doing. And so we stay consistent in our time with God. Okay, so fear causes us to question what was already clear. Okay? You hear God, then you second guess it, and then you stop moving. Fear doesn't just stop you, it makes you question what God has already made clear to you. Fear doesn't just stop you, it makes you question what God has already made clear to you. So, how do we break out of being stuck? All right, let's get practical with this. Joshua chapter 1, verse 9 tells us to be strong and courageous. John 7:17 says, obedience brings clarity. Again, and I talked about that last week. Obedience brings clarity. The more that we obey God, the more that we obey the instructions that we're given, then we get more clarity in our situations. Then we even see the stuckness break and we start to move forward. So here's some practical steps. Go back to the last thing that you know God said. Identify where you stopped obeying. Then you want to take one step, not 10. One step, not 10. You don't have to do a whole lot. Just take one step. And then stay consistent. You don't have to worry about being emotional. Don't worry about whether or not your feelings are in it, or if you feel good, or if you feel emotions. You don't need all of that. All you need to do is just stay consistent and then trust God in the movement. Trust God in the movement. Breakthrough doesn't start with a big leap, it starts with one step of obedience. And obedience every time will break us out of feeling stuck. There are many times when I talk to young people and they say they feel like they haven't been hearing God, or they feel like they're stuck, or they feel like nothing's going on in their Christian walk. And one of the first things I always tell them, okay, let's go back. Let's talk about what's been going on. What have you felt like God has been saying? Okay. And then have you done that? And a lot of times what happens, it's some reason why they haven't followed up on the instructions or obeyed what they know that God has told them in that last season. All right, so let's recap. You're not stuck because God is silent. You may be stuck because you stopped moving. Obedience breaks the cycle. Discipline sustains your growth, and courage keeps you moving forward. Obedience breaks the cycle. Discipline sustains your growth, and courage keeps you moving forward. Sometimes we need both clarity and community to help us move forward on what God is saying. And that's why we gather for our monthly prophetic encounter night. It's a space where we seek God, where we pray together, and we grow in hearing his voice with confidence. Click the link below to join. We would love to see you there.